Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much. So now we have our next speaker, Santosh Vyas. She's the principal of Sadhu Vashwani International School for Girls. She has 34 years of diverse work experience. She has, you're not able to hear? Okay, I'll use this. Now you can hear me? Yeah. So she has 34 years of diverse work experience. She has also been appointed by CBSE as a resource person for pedagogical leadership training workshops and developed content and material for CBSE under Vidya Dan program. Her topic for today talk is competency-based education. So please welcome Santosh ma'am. And ma'am, now your 7 minutes starts.
Yes, I would be very brief. So I'll be talking about competency-based education. And we all know that this is the, as per the National Education Policy 2020, competency-based education is the focus, you know. So we talk a lot, you know, like theory and all, but our problem is how to implement it at the school level. How do we have this competency-based education? Because 21st century is there now. And 21st century is the century of skills and competencies, right? So we see to it that, you know, through our school practices. When I say school practices, it means for holistic education, what all we can do. One of our educator friend this morning, she said, she talked about this competency-based education, this word she used, and very comprehensive and detailed presentation that was. And she also talked about holistic education, which means education of the head, heart, and hand in that order. And this has been emphasized by great philosophers, educational philosophers, and Mahatma Gandhi ji. And so is the mission and vision of our school also, holistic education. It is given in the mission and vision statement already when we framed it in the beginning. Okay? So, so all three types of education. Now, how do we do it? Now, whatever said and done, friends, I would share with you that whether it is life skills, whether it is value education, whatever, it is, you know, something not we can, you know, teach in one period. It has to be inbuilt, integrated into the entire teaching learning process. Right from the beginning, the child enters in the school to the classroom, and then, you know, in co-curricular activities, and that is all about it. So basically, you know, like initially we started the idea a long time back, okay, value education in the schools. So one period allotted to value education, or one period allotted to life skills education. We can't have life skills and values in one period. It has to be inbuilt in the curriculum, in the academics, in all the classes across the disciplines. So I'll share some of the practices, how do we do it, right? So just a quick run through the theoretical aspect. NEP 2020, I've already said, which talks about shift from assessment system that is summative to formative, and away from the memorization to conceptual understanding that we all know. Now, when we talk about, you know, like national curriculum framework also, it has been talking about, say, all education is that preparing children for life, or future-ready citizens, somebody said this morning. So when we talk about future-ready citizen, that means we have to give those skills and competencies to be able to, you know, face the world, you know. And I was just talking to some of the viewers the other day, that when we talk about future-ready citizens, I think when we, artificial intelligence, coding, all these things, all schools have already incorporated in their curriculum. So we are already preparing future-ready, and pandemic has taught them that they are future-ready. They have upgraded their skills. They know how to adjust. When we talk about holistic, not only cognitive skills, but psychomotor and affective skills as well, emotional skills, right? So emotional, social skills, at least they have collaborated their projects online also. And when say EQ, they are coping up with the stress. They have proved themselves. They have demonstrated, exhibited that. So this generation is actually, you know, is very demanding and needs much more. And the classrooms have to be quite engaging. And that is how we can actually challenge them. So we come to the lesson plan right from the beginning. So can I have a share? Just a sample of the lesson plan I'll be sharing with you because time is less. So we'll not go to the theory part. So first is like we talk about learning outcomes. So whatever said and done, a basic layout is required when we are dealing with the masses, 100 teachers, 200 teachers in a school. So we have to have some, you know, for all the teachers, some planning is required, instructional practices that we call about. So there we mention the learning outcomes and the skills. So suppose that we say the students will be able to analyze or they'll be able to comprehend, or they'll be able to evaluate, create, all those cognitive skills which are mentioned in the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so those. And then when we talk about psychomotor and affective, psychomotor, of course, drawing skills, some map work can be, the child can be given, or, when we talk about affective, the behavioral aspect. And multiple intelligences, this is what we see to it, that we plan the lessons, that multiple intelligences should be catered to. So some teacher can teach something through the music and through dance and interdisciplinary also. How we can teach physics and sound, this music can be together. So those kind of things we focus on. So that is the one thing. And when we talk about value education, friends, value education, 4 C's, somebody mentioned, we also have 4 C's in our mission vision statement, and that is about compassion, character, and commitment, and courage. So how do we bring this compassion? How do we bring these love and forgiveness? That's a beautiful value given by our gurus, Sadhu Vaswani. So when we say love and compassion or love and forgiveness, how do we do it? So the children know the mission vision of the school. They know Dada talks about love, and we call him Dada out of love. So love and forgiveness. So we have assembly, activities on love and forgiveness. That's fine. But we have 1 month full celebrations in the assembly, inside the classrooms. Children prepare forgiveness cards, forgiveness bands, all those kind of activities, or forgiveness tree. Okay. Similarly, we have one more celebration, and that is, stop all killing. So where we basically, it's not to, it's not nothing about preaching or any particular philosophy. It's about stop killing animals. So out of love for animals, those kind of activities are organized. Taking care of bird feeding in the nursery and KG. So it is inbuilt in the curriculum. All value education, all life skills, they are inbuilt in the curriculum of the school. So much so that mission vision statement. When we talk about mission vision statement, friends, if you ask children, do they know the mission vision statement? No, sometimes teachers don't know the mission vision statement because it's there in the school, at the entrance or somewhere, some important place. But I suggest it should be there all over, on different floors. And it should be, I feel, part of the planning file. So that, whenever the teacher looks at that, she is reminded of the mission vision and how she incorporates those things through her teaching learning. Even if she's teaching physics or chemistry or bio, like environmental values, doesn't matter. Environmental values or all these things. So that kind of thing interwoven. And everything is planned in the lesson. And we see to it that how we can organize the various activities to make that happen, right? And art integration, that is taken care of, because one school said art, we teach only art as a subject, which adds so much life to the entire teaching learning. So, kinesthetically, you can teach the subjects. So all these things, we see to it that when we talk about competencies. And yes. And someone said Vipassana, that some sort of quiet time. So we have a practice when we have early morning when children come, they have attendance in the class, and then Vipassana. 10 minutes are given to Vipassana every day, where every child is asked to be calm and quiet and just focus on the breath. That's it for 10 minutes. It has brought beautiful results, we could see. Leave it. We have beautiful, this thing we could see. Results. At times you think, initially when we started them long time back into Vipassana, before, children used to find it very difficult, especially middle school, to sit quietly. And gradually we saw they started liking it. And one fine day in the assembly, we happened to ask them, how do you find it? And children had such amazing experiences to share. So that was an eye-opening, and we thought we must continue with it. So that continued even online during the online classes also. So that was a great thing, and this is how we have those kind of values where children love. And love and forgiveness, of course, is very important for us. So as we see, just bring it up, slightly. Just a sample, because I've spoken about it. So content we have divided into 3 parts: pre-content, and the content of this day, and the post-content, which is for lateral thinking. Learning outcomes, when we say they'll be able to share the findings of the city, and they will be able to recognize. I'm just focusing the main words: identify, produce, etc. Design, evaluate, all the Bloom's taxonomy. This is how it is done. Next. And next, fast. Just a sample I'm sharing with you all. Now, here we define student activity and teacher activity. What teacher will be doing in the class and what students will be doing in the class. Whether they will participate in any discussion which is going on, or they have some, it is attached in the form of annexures. Next. Yeah. And so these are the kind of other exercises planned for them. Suppose a teacher is talking about Indus Valley civilization. So she will do the entire activity, seal making in the classroom with the clay. So art is being integrated. That is one example. And child is learning about the seals also. And concrete, yes. And this is one experiential learning worksheet. Like somebody said, children should know why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is how we have designed like this. Suppose it is jewelry making. That is an activity in history. Wait. And for that, we can do these headings. Like here, what I have to do. So child should know what is the objective of this activity. Next. And next, we have what I have to do. What will I learn? And what do I require? The material. And what I need to know before that. And the activity completed. So these kind of formats and rubrics are there just to, because when you're dealing with 100 teachers, you have to give them some guidelines. So this is how we do the teaching learning activities experientially. And thank you so much on that, because time is running out.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So you must be feeling hungry. Yeah, so before we go for lunch, we will have one of our last session. So we have Beena Agrawal and Anjali ji. Anjali ji has an experience of 32 years and is principal of Jingle Bell Nursery School Primary and principal of Teacher Training Institute. Along with her, we have Mrs. Beena Agrawal. Mrs. Agrawal comes with an experience of 30 years. She works with Jingle Bell Nursery School 1 to 5 class. They are part of Ashoka Changemaker School. The topic of today's talk is curriculum learning by doing. So over to you, Beena ma'am and Anjali ma'am. Next 7 minutes is yours.
So I bow to everyone. Good afternoon, everyone present over here. So he has already given the introduction. This is my school called Jingle Bell School, with bricks facing buildings and initiated by Laurie Baker's kinds of buildings we have. And my school is a caring community encouraging pupils the maintenance of high standards of belonging, of behavior through self-participation. We believe that children learn what they live. So we design our activities to ensure that children develop tolerance, patience, praise, fairness, confidence, gratitude, and sense of justice and faith in peers. Our motto is also, let the child enjoy learning. Somebody said in the morning also that childhood never comes back. So we have to give the rich experience to the children so that they are enjoying their childhood and they never forget that what they got in the school, the kind of environment they got and they learned through the play and through the enjoying the happy environment of the school. So because of that, we just create the environment where children can learn by doing. And they are sitting in the groups. We have group sitting. Initially, somebody was talking about it. We have group sitting, lot of independent activities are there, group activities are there, quiet activities are there, so that children learn. And one more belief we have, that children learn by their own. We don't teach them. We say we teach, we don't teach. They learn by their mistakes, and whenever they are trying, they learn. Once they will do mistake, next time they won't. They will try to explore, they will try to do the things by themselves, and they learn that this is the best way I can do my activity. That way they do. And then the children benefits from their hands-on approach, lot of hands-on activities we do, and where we want them to be original and creative, so that the activities are designed accordingly. And then it is multidisciplinary approach, integrated approach for the children. We take themes, and then around the themes are all the subjects goes around the integrated in the themes. We use a lot of age-appropriate activities and teaching strategies to target the different learning styles of children. We know that the individual differences are there. We have to keep individual differences in mind, as our siblings are also not same. In the same way, we are getting the children from different environment, from different places. They have the different upbringing. So we need to keep the different learning styles and individual differences in mind. Accordingly, the activities we design in the school of us. And then the variety of spaces in my school, there are variety of spaces in the school throughout that, so where children explore science, maths, language, music, arts. Even we have a very strong nature curriculum also, where children are exploring all these subjects into nature also through the nature walk. When they go to the nature walk, they'll explore maths also, they'll explore science also, they'll explore language also. Even we take the concepts in the nature during the nature walks also. And there they will do in the outside, and then they'll come back to the classroom, and after that they will do the other activities related to nature. Now, some part over to Anjali ma'am.
Thank you, Veena. I will talk about our pedagogy. After seeing, I think after looking at these pictures, you must have come to know that it is totally child-chosen. The child chooses his or her activity, child-directed, does it in his own way, child-initiated and age-appropriate. The teacher works just as a facilitator. And then we built on the prior knowledge and give lot of opportunities to the children. Early years in the beginning, when the child is in nursery or LKG, the child goes for a field trip, and then when he comes back, he scribbles, he draws something, and the teacher writes for the child. That we call it child's dictation. That is how the child makes a connection between what is being said that is also in text. So this is how the child is developing language. The child is free to express. When the child goes to class 1 and 2, we believe in 100 languages of children. They can draw, they can express themselves through drawing, through dance, through drama. So we accept all their expressions. We never say no to them. Then we also accept invented spellings. That is very, very important in our school. Till class 2, we are accepting invented spellings. If a child wants to write some words, suppose water, so if he writes WTR, we never say it's wrong. Just the teacher sits with the child, and then she shows the correct way. So that is, again, self-checking, self-realization. Another thing which we focus on is our correction style. We never use red pen because it demotivates the child. And then we use pencils for correction. We avoid using erasers. We tell the children not to use erasers. And the purpose behind is, we come to know what is the child thinking, what he is up to. So, minimum use of erasers, especially in maths, when the child is doing some mathematical work, we avoid erasers. Then, we never teach from textbooks. Till class 3, textbooks are used as reference books. Then, no tests or examination till class 5. Every child's observation copy is there. Teacher writes observation of the child, and at the end of the semester, she comes to a conclusion, and they keep on working on the gaps. So that is also there. Then another thing, homework. We never give homework, pages of homework to the child to write, go do this exercise or no, because we don't use textbooks. Our homework is listing, finding out, researching, exploring, visit the garden with your parent and come and write about it. So such homework we give to the children. Then more than one approach for solving problems, that is also used. Then we accept different answers from a child. If every child is different, we treat every child as an individual. So once they come with different answers, so he may be correct. If it is a watermelon, and you are saying it is of green, and he is saying it is of red, it is red color, we accept, okay. The child's perspective, he sees it as green, he sees it as red, it's okay. Gradually, when he'll grow up, he'll understand what is the thing. Then, we, of course, as Beena already said, we have large group activities, small group activities, and our main focus is on joyful learning. The child should enjoy coming to school. And I tell you, our parents come and give us the feedback that children want to come to school on Sundays also. So like I said, okay, you all can bring the children to school. So the next is the project approach. Of course, she also spoke. I'll just share a little bit about the project approach. This project approach we follow because our total teaching is based on the theme and which the child uses for its learning. So like, I'll show you, there are some pictures. The teacher has taken the project cow. Now the cow, the teacher took the children to a cow shed. They saw the milking process. They interacted with the milkman. And once they came back to the class, they measured the milk with the cans. And then they wrote their expressions. Then they wrote about it. So we're not teaching maths. We are not teaching language. All the subjects are integrated with the project. Collaboration and cooperation is the hallmark of the project. And the child is actually applying skills in real life situation. It's not acquiring, it's applying skills. That is what we want. Next is the classrooms. Yeah. We have a very different setup in the classroom. Very less of furniture. You must be seeing it's all floor sitting. In nursery, lower KGs, we have just one table, hexagon table with 6 chairs around when they do small group activities. We have learning centers in the classroom, like cutting pasting area, science area, this fantasy area, block area, library area, EPL area. Children go to different learning centers, and this is the best time for the teacher to observe and understand where the child is leading, where the child is going. This is child-driven learning. It's not teacher-forced learning. So the teacher understands what the child actually wants, and she only intervenes when the child gets stuck. So our classroom, and in the classroom we don't display charts and poems and other things. Children's work is displayed, whether it's the corridors, the classroom. So our classroom is totally, of course, ventilated. All the classes are ventilated everywhere. But we have a different setup. So now again, I'll hand it over to Beena to continue with the...
This was the pedagogy, and then like we have the routine also, the classroom, the school routine is also very different for the children. When they come in the morning, it's a free play for them. They enjoy the classroom, they enjoy the school spaces when they come. Then we have the circle time where we make the children comfortable. They make very comfortable and emotionally safe the way the activities are designed in that. And then the areas which Anjali ma'am has shown, we give them free time to go to those areas. Children are free to choose by themselves and they go. And then lastly, we have bye-bye circle also, which we call it children taking school to home. Means whatever children are learning in the school, they are taking it home and they are sharing it with their parents. Now the next thing is there, so this was the like routine of the class school. Okay, one special thing about, but special thing about my school building also, my school building is called Bala building, which is called building as learning aid. So every nook and corner in the school is the learning space for the children, where we have this kind of goal tara on the floor, footsteps on the floor, tracing tiles are there, pools are there, numbers on the stairs are there, mystery wall is there. Next. Next, Anjali. Then height chart is there, pipe phone, pillars on which the children can write, the boards outside in the corridors where children can go and write whatever they want, and they do activities, whatever they do in the classroom, they follow those activities outside also. That is the magic square. See, the child is watching the life cycle of the butterfly. Then these are the folk art on which the children are constructing the stories by themselves. And then teacher will talk to them. Then visual illusions are there. These are the shapes on the floor. These are the expression board. So all these things are there. The building is designed, specially designed, but it supports our curriculum. Curriculum is not changed. Curriculum is same, but the building is designed according to the curriculum where children are roaming around and learning a lot. Then we work on inclusion also. We have in a mainstream school, we have the special differently abled children also. They are also mingled with other children in the school so that they don't feel that they are different from others. And even other mainstream children also respects their skills a lot and they work the activities with them a lot. Then we have a very strong environment program in the school because somebody was talking about the global warming and the children have to be very, very much aware of how to save the environment. So we are connected with the Roots and Shoots, the organization of Jane Goodall. And INTAC also. So we do a lot of environmental activities which is totally imbibed in our curriculum. We don't do it separately. It is imbibed in the curriculum. So children are made aware of a lot of water conservation, plantation, then how to prepare manure, how to save animal welfare. They have started doing collections for animal welfare to help the stray animals. Many children have adopted also stray animals of our school. So this way, the lot of work on the environment also we do. The time is up. Thank you all. Thank you.
One thing I should like to tell you all, our building is the first independent building in India which is based on Bala. It is the first, designed by Kabir Vajpayee, architect Kabir Vajpayee of Delhi. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a private school. Ji. Yeah. 30 children each classroom. I have total, each classroom 30 children. 30 children. Yeah. And 4 adults. Yeah.
One more thing I would like to share.
We have
a very important, just few seconds, because I know they are getting late for lunch. We have a training center, teachers training institute, and we have a 9 months training. We don't take teachers from outside because with this type of curriculum and with this type of pedagogy, we need to have the teachers trained. So we recruit them from our own teachers training institute. So that is all. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
I would like to invite everyone to visit my school, please, once. Come to Ayodhya, we'll take you to Ramji ki Nagari also and the school also, both. Thank you all. Thank you. अरे पहले आइए ना मंदिर आइएगा तो फिर दिखाएंगे मंदिर तो. Thank you, Naveen.
So all of us can go to Ayodhya right after it. So now we'll have, this is lunch time. So try to finish it as early as possible, maybe 35 minutes. We'll be back at 2:15. If we'll come at 2:15, we'll finish the session on time. If we'll be late, then we can get late. We have to go to same place, ground floor. So we'll have our lunch and kindly be here within 35 minutes. That's a polite request to all of you. Yeah?
Like time constant is there, we are having only 7 minutes to speak about the concept we are running. So this is a school which deals with the toddlers group. We are having toddlers from the age group of 18 months onwards till 6 to 7 years. I started this school in the memory of my loving departed elder sister, Dr. Dipali. She was a renowned educationist and she was with the Indian Institute of Information Technology. This is the tagline of our school, Rays of Hope. So basically it was a challenge for me coming from higher education to pre-primary segment of students, how to deal, how the curriculum I should plan, what kind of research is needed. So we decided how we have to proceed, basically. So we did lots of research, because coming down from higher education to small education, like it needs lot of patience, efforts and creativity. So started with that. We were having the concept that our school should be like that. So whatever like toddlers are coming to our school, they should feel like they are coming to another home. Like we wanted to provide the environment, the similar kind of environment along with the teaching and learning process, so that they can correlate it with the development of their all the like aspects, whether it's physical, spiritual and emotional and so on. So we started with this vision. Just a minute. So this was the challenge on my part also. She is my second daughter. She was having that age group that time. So this was the most live example of my passion and my research, whatever I have drafted for my school. So it started with the first admission of my daughter, so that I will be like, I was having that thought that I will do more justice with the concept of toddlers education. So she did her pre-primary education with us only. Due to the time constraint, we will focus only towards the most 5 innovative different practices we are using in our school. First is related with the research. As I have told earlier, before starting this school concept, we did lots of research, what are the curriculum we should plan so that the students can benefit it. And based on that, we initiated the international concept of KDI, that is Key Developmental Indicators. You all know that the development of brain started with the age group of 2 years plus. So we have tried to inculcate those parameters and factors in our innovative curriculum, so that the child can be at ease, but simultaneously learning portions also get increased on day-to-day basis. For that, apart from teaching ABC, we have initiated lots of other KSA activities that is related with the textbook, along with the knowledge skill based activities. Then apart from gaining knowledge and skill development, how the child is going to carry that attitude. So we have initiated lots of activities, which is something related with the different sort of pedagogical approaches of learning. Sometimes it was inductive, sometimes it was deductive, then sometimes it was experiential, then learning by doing, learning by observation, like learning by being a part of that particular activity, either community events. So like we have initiated, if we are teaching in EVS, what are the different good habits? Generally we teach all these things, good habits, bad habits and all. So we have tried to inculcate those habits with the community events. So whatever we do, we plan, our students conduct those activities. So that's why they learn it also, and they simultaneously they inspire their parents to be a part of that activity. Like for example, traffic rules. If we are going to teach red light concept or traffic signal concept, so we arrange a mock situation for them, like kids are coming with or without helmet. So what is the outcome? Like they are having accident. So these sort of things we have tried to inculcate with the introduction of practical situations. Then demonstration of real life incidents. Suppose real life incidents, if we want to teach our kids about the disaster management. So whenever they enter in the class in the morning time, the class is not as usual in a very settled format. We just disperse all the stuff, and suddenly when the child enters in the class, he or she won't get the same setup as they used to get on the normal days. So like that, and like teacher is coming with time. I'm so sorry. Is it over? 7 minutes over? Okay.
You can just quickly finish it.
Okay, so I would like to give a glimpses of that. Just a minute. You can have a look. We don't go directly for the plantation drive. We start with the germination in the class itself. We teach them, they learn, they discover, they do it on daily basis, day-to-day classroom. They are providing water to the sapling, germination of seeds. So like that, they understand the concept of that. Like KSA activities, you can see in this picture, different sort of knowledge or skills they are gaining during the course of action. They are supposed to discuss it within the class. Then visit to the newspaper printing press. If they know what they like, with reference to the newspaper, if they are watching regularly in their on their parents' part. So simultaneously बच्चे को books भी बहुत पसंद होते हैं. So they have visited, like we arrange these sort of visits so that they can correlate it with the conceptual thoughts. Profit making versus class size. Normally in every schools we are having 50 plus students, but in one class, one section, if we talk about plus 2 schools. But if you are having this class size, but what I suggest, try to conduct the activities in different sort of groups. We do it in different class sort of groups so that they can correlate that what kind of learning they are achieving in that. Since we are from army, so we always try to inculcate in the mind of toddlers to respect the uniform forces, whether it is from any profession, police department or army, air force, anything. So regular visits, regular celebrations we conduct on our part. This is one of the practice. We involve community members to volunteer to present their skill, whether on the part of grandparents or mothers or fathers. Like she is the mother who is a doctor by profession, but whenever community members involved in the teaching learning process, students learn faster because उनके लिए वो doctor नहीं होता है, उनके लिए वो उनके फ्रेंड की मदर होती है या फिर फादर होता है या फिर उनके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स होते हैं. तो चाइल्ड नीड्स वेराइटी ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ मेंटरशिप. सो दीज सॉर्ट ऑफ इनिशिएटिव्स वी कैरी ऑन रेगुलर बेसिस. And I would like to conclude, suppose if we are arranging any sports activity, so we arrange that sports activity as per the curriculum, like if we are having that month a theme of animals, so we will include all the animals sports activity related with that. So every month as per the KDI we are having different thematic science curriculum. So every month we include all the different aspects of learning so that they can connect it along with the bookish knowledge. So that's it from my end. It is I know it's time constantly there, but still there are many things to discuss, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Akansha ma'am. So now I would like to invite Mohit Yadav sir. So Mr. Mohit is the director of Annie Besant School, Annie Besant College, affiliated to DAVV Indore. Renaissance University, Indore, Krishna Institute of Professional Studies. And Mr. Yadav holds an experience of 23 years in the field of school education, higher education, and software development. So his talk of his topic is implementation of child-based teaching. So please welcome Mr. Mohit Yadav.
Well, Naveen has already told me that it is only 7 minutes. So before I begin, Naveen, I'll take only 10 seconds extra, 15 seconds extra, which will not be counted in 7 minutes. Okay? It's lunchtime. After lunch, we had sitting over here. And of course, this is the most pathetic time in any of the conference or any of the sessions, because after lunch, everybody likes to sleep. And listening to somebody on all philosophical thoughts process still gives, kya bol rahe hain? So before I start, let me have something, a small activity to start with. Are you ready for that activity? Can we do that activity? Okay. I'll request you all to stand up for a minute. And a very simple activity, although it's a longer one, but I'm going to just take 15 seconds from this. You have to follow only one instruction. I'll move my hands, and you have to follow my hands. If I say it's left, you have to move to my left. If I say right, you have to move to my right. Okay? Left. Sorry, I said it's my left. Again. So it has to be same. Come on. Many of them are not right. Okay. Right. Again wrong. This was a small thing. Now, please sit down. A very small activity, I have said clearly that you have to follow my instructions. If I say it is my right, you have to go on my right. If I say it is my left, you have to go my left. But what you did was, many of us, we follow what our mind thinks. And this is exactly what happens in education. As a teacher, when we stand in a class, we think that student will follow what we want to teach, what we want to express, and we forget that what exactly the child wants to study. We forget. We start with something there where what we want to speak, that is finalized. We doesn't expect that what the student is going to understand or what is his liking to understand. We miss out on that part. And this is where the first concept of child-centered education came into picture. I slightly deviated from that concept, from child-centered to child-focused, that we have to focus on the child education. But again, it was getting difficult because a teacher cannot focus on all the 40 students or all 30 students in a class. How would you assess? You cannot go, individual teaching cannot be performed. Hence, that was a need of technology to be incorporated. And if we incorporate technology in teaching, then probably we would be able to get to that learning level of a student, because artificial intelligence is now a part and parcel of our teaching industry. I'll just quickly brief. I do follow Mr. Mahatma Gandhi ji, our Honorable Bapuji. He said, by education, I mean all-round drawing of the best in the child and a man's body and mind spirit. While our school ideology says that every child is a free spirit. Every child is a free spirit. And what we need to get done is that we need to create a world around him to his needs so that he can ponder around and he can become accommodating and achieving learner. That is what we believe into. So these were the two ideologies that we follow. Of course, the vision and mission statements are always there to put on the school notice, what ma'am said very clearly. And I don't believe in putting mission and vision anywhere. I just believe in putting the ideology to be there in my school system. So this is one thing that we have. So with this thing, when we talked about child-focused education by implementing an AI-based technology, we thought of implementing our ideology and the ideology of Gandhiji, because we believe that every child has a different learning style and a pace. Each child is unique and not only capable of learning, but also capable of succeeding. It is success that every child is looking for, and every child's success is also different. Because not everybody wants to become a doctor, not everybody wants to become an engineer, not everybody wants to become a chartered accountant. There's somebody who wants to become an artist. So we have to think accordingly also. We have to train them accordingly, that what is exactly the child needs are all about and what is his success level. So we have to change that teaching. That was the need of an hour. So what happens? In an orthodox class, what happens? There is a one teacher. There's a 40-odd students sitting in a classroom. And teaching is possible. I always believe teaching is possible, but not the assessment of students' learning. I'm not saying the assessment is not possible. I'm saying that assessment of students' learning is not possible, because we are assessing only what he or she has written in an examination. It is assessing only the observation that you have done. But what exactly he has learned and how much he is able to recreate is not possible, whether he is followed or not, or what is the shortcoming of that particular child. If there is a shortcoming, you are not sure about it. I'm just giving an example. I'm from a science student, so I may give a science example. We have taught mathematics in a grade, say, 1. We have taught about additions. We taught about multiplication. Maybe a child may have a problem of understanding. This child may have a problem of understanding in addition. This child may have a problem of understanding multiplication. There may be another child who may have understanding of addition, but not be able to do the addition of double digits. Now, is the teacher able to assess this thing? No. Is the principal of a school, because most of us are principal and are leaders of the school, do we know what exactly the teacher has taught, and is he or she has achieved the learning, minimum level of learning of the child? Do we come to know that whether the teacher, whatever he or she has taught, is being perfect? No. We just believe on that particular lesson plan that has been produced by the teacher, and we sit in the room and assess, okay, the teacher has prepared the lesson plan, he must have taught or she must have taught, and it's all over, the assessment will come down, result will come down, all students pass in the first division, and we think, oh, great, we have done a good job, thank you. No, we have not done a good job. The job has been done by the teacher or the student who has just written an examination. Now, the written examination does not defines that the learning has been achieved. So what we did, that we were planning that we have to change this assessment system. An assessment system, I'm going a little bit fast now because time is ticking. So the problem is how to assess whether every child has understood what he or she has been taught. What we did, the teaching methodology in our school. Now, teaching methodology in our school changes a little bit. We say the teacher is coaching a subject to a class of 40 students. After completion of topic to assess a student, what does we do? We give a homework to the student, isn't it? Homework dete hum log. So we give a home assignment to the students. Students are supposed to submit this home assignment in 2 days of time or 1 day of time, whatever time limit that we give. Initially, that's 2 days of time that we give. So in the 2 days of time, the students submit back the homework. That since the teacher is teaching in a school, he does not teach only a single class. He teaches or she teaches more than one class or more than one number of sections. Effectively, 4 sections to rehte hi rehte hain. There are minimum number of 4 sections that a teacher teaches. So in an odd, around 160, 150 students, a load is there on a teacher. Now imagine this teacher who is teaching, who has a home, who has a husband, who has a mother-in-law or a father-in-law, a husband to be taken care of, sometimes a study kind of a husband to be taken care of, and something else. So what happens? He or she has to take care of the home, the school, the principal's targets, and the checking of copies and everything. He or she misses upon what? He or she misses upon the preparation of his or her own lecture that she or he needs to redeliver next day. And that is a missing point. So in spite of correcting all the copies, teacher is not able to find whether the students are lacking behind or which concepts the students are lacking behind, because teacher just simply corrects the copy. बच्चे ने क्या सही किया है? Whatever he has written is right or wrong. Tick, cross, the red mark, the red pen. Putting the red pen, the negative mark, of course. So you can change with red pen to green pen or a blue pen or whatever pen, but you put a tick across. But you still do not able to assess a child which concept of that particular teaching has not been understood by the child. So what goes is, in the next class, the teacher again comes and start teaching the next topic. Things are over. Now, what we do in our school is that at Animation School, we partnered with an IT firm. This is our own IT firm. And there we developed a particular software, which is AI-based software. In this, what we did, that now no teacher would be giving a homework. No homework was given by the teacher directly to the students. Here, the teacher just teaches in the class and tells the students that tomorrow you have to do this particular activity on the app. This is an app which is available on a mobile or a laptop or whichever way they want to access. And this is a homework which is there onto the application. This application is basically an AI-based application. It is an artificial intelligence-based application. So homework is also not same for every child. Each child gets a different homework, and on top, the homework is according to the level of a child and how he proceeds. A very small example, that suppose it's a homework of an addition, it is 2 plus 2, the child will answer 4, the system will take okay. 6 plus 2, the answer is 8, child gets the answer, they will say okay, very fine. Next question, 8 plus 8. 16, answer is perfect. Next question will come down, 12 plus 8. Now, AI has understood that the student has understood the concept of addition, but now the concept is 2-digit to 1-digit. The question will come down 12 plus 8. If the child has gone 12 plus 8 right, then again 2 plus 2 digits question will come down. And if he has missed on this thing, concept, then again he will reiterate back, okay, you have to understand the concept of carry forward or this, whatever concept has been missed, that concept question will come down and things. The entire report goes to the teacher, that which were the questions which student were not able to answer properly and which were the concept that he was not able to attempt. And how many students have attempted the questions and how many have not even attempted the question, this report goes. This report does not go only to the teacher, but this goes to the parent of the child, and this report comes to the principal also, that your teacher has taught so-and-so topic, but these number of students in a class were not able to understand this concept. As a principal in a school, what I do is, once it comes down, I'm just coming. When it comes down to an end, to me, I just ask the teacher that tomorrow you are not going to go for the next topic. You are supposed to revise this particular topic which is not understood by the students of your class. Hence, we are able to make sure that every child in a class has understood those concepts and are able to get through. Second, even if there is a lacuna in a particular students, they are not able to understand, these kids are identified and are taken separately by the teacher to clear their concepts, because now teacher knows which is the concept where the teacher or the student has not understood. Hence, we are able to get the child-focused education done. Yep. So that was the thing. I am seeing the time is over. So only one outcome that we have followed, that what best we can come out, was the overall academic performance of the school got increased. I didn't say that everybody got 90% marks, but the student who was getting 30% or 40% started getting 50, 60. The 60 students got into 70%. So we saw a drift of 5 to 10% increase in the academic performance of every child. And now my students were satisfied, the parents were satisfied, because we were able to partner with parents, school, and children all together. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
So thank you, Mohit sir. And sorry I was disturbing in between, but we just have to follow the time. So now I would like to invite, before our special guest session, we have last session of Dr. Sapna Yadav. So she is the senior lecturer at State Council of Educational Research and Training, Government of Delhi, and project director of Entrepreneurship Mindset Curriculum. She has more than 11 years of experience in curriculum development, training and research, and presenting paper at international seminars. And the topic of her talk is Entrepreneurship Mindset Curriculum, an initiative of Delhi government. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Naveen. So before taking too much time, I'm going to start. Yeah. In the year 2018-19, Delhi government has launched curriculum, happiness curriculum, with the vision that we want to prepare human beings who have harmony with the society, community, themselves too, and family. So happiness curriculum is for the age group of up to class 8th. But now what about after that? So the question arose, and so many discussions were happened, what we will do for that group. So, because that group belongs to class 9 to 12 is very vulnerable group. Students are very career oriented, and this is the age where directions for their career set. So here comes entrepreneurship mindset curriculum with the vision to nurture their own qualities and abilities at the right time, at the right age, so that they may take charge of their own career path, whether they want to go in a job, in a entrepreneurship, or whether they want to join their family business. But this is the age which helps them, there are some qualities and abilities which helps them to prepare their own future. So entrepreneurship mindset curriculum, this is the statement by our Honorable Chief Minister, sir. Why this curriculum? There are some rationale, like we want to make India national pride. We want one student sitting at USA or another country should want to join company in India. So that's why we have we want the rationale behind this national pride. The other one is definitely we want to improve economy of India, and the last but not the least, which is the most common problem, especially Asian countries, joblessness. So that's why this curriculum, we are trying to help to tackle these issues. There are some foundational abilities, as you saw on screen, which helps them to improve in their professional growth, like communication, critical thinking, decision making. But there are some abilities we want to develop in our students. These abilities, like dream bigger. We want that our students should dream big as much as can. They should try new and challenges. They should think out of the box. They should recognize opportunities from the problems around them. Then they should plan and execute. Still, they failed, then they should bounce back from failure. Then again analyze and learn, and the most important, redo. Replan, try again and try again. We all are failing at this point because we are providing and we are making them knowledge banker rather than a human being. Sometimes they face failure, they failed. That's why we see suicide rates at this age is becoming very high. So in Delhi government administration schools, we have 1,024 schools. In all the schools, Delhi government has launched this curriculum in 2019-20 academic session for all the schools, for all the students of class 9 to 12th. And we have dedicated EMC coordinators in all the schools and dedicated 18,500 entrepreneurship mindset curriculum teachers. To make proper, effective implementations, we have a group of 200 plus mentor teachers, which helps them for the proper, who provide ground support to all the teachers, all the schools, and all the students. Then we, of course, we have entrepreneurship mindset curriculum, core team, and all the students approximately who are under this classes is approximately 8 lakh. Last year it was 7 lakh, but now it is 8 lakh plus students. We have daily dedicated one entrepreneurship mindset curriculum period in all the schools, in all the classes of 9 to 12th. We believe in 3 types of learning or pedagogies, that is experiential learning, inspirational learning, and the most important thing is reflection. We believe that self-reflection is the path of success. To achieve all these entrepreneurial mindset, to achieve the vision of development of entrepreneurial mindset in our students, we have some components. Some happens inside the classroom and some happens outside the classroom. So in this curriculum, there are no textbooks for the students. There is no examination, no pen paper based evaluation in this particularly curriculum. We have teacher's manual in which we have thematic units based on
real life entrepreneur's story. Like we have stories of E. Sridharanji on plan and execution, Warren Buffett on how he improved his communication. Like this, we have real life entrepreneur stories and activities. Other than this, we believe that some skills require continuous practice to achieve, like communication skills, time management. That's why we have student-led sessions, like just a minute sessions and jaldi debates, which happens during the Saturdays or in free periods. Then we have live entrepreneur interactions. Live entrepreneur interactions, basically, when we students learn about the real life entrepreneurs in their classrooms, so they may fascinate or they may think that is it real? Is it happens? कि कोई इतनी जल्दी success कैसे ले सकता है? Then we have this component live entrepreneur interactions to convert this thematic units or this inspirational learning into the experiential learning, where we take the entrepreneurs in their classrooms and make the interactions between those two, and 5 to 10 minutes entrepreneurs share their experiences or their journey. Then there are 30 to 35-minute interactions between students and entrepreneurs. Then there are other components like career exploration, in which a student take 10 interviews in one class. Suppose in class 9, he or she take 9, 10 interviews, 5 belongs to job persons and 5 belongs to business people. Then over the period of 4 years, he or she take 40 interviews, out of which 20 from job and 20 from business people, which helps them to choose their own career path, because they know what are the pros and cons of both job persons and the business people. Then the most important component of our is Business Blaster. Business Blaster, if you belong to Delhi, then you must saw their posters on the bus stand and different poles पे आपने देखे होंगे. So Business Blaster is a component in which we provide seed money to all the students of class 11th and 12th, rupees 2,000 to all the students, and they come up with their ideas. So at the school level, we got 51,000 ideas and approximately 3 lakh students participated in this. At the zonal level, at the school level selection, then we got 3,000, then 1,000. Now we are having a process. These 2 days we are having a process, and we will get by today night 100 plus teams who will going to present their ideas in Expo investment and investor expos on Saturday, 5th March. And I'm inviting you all on behalf of my team and as a project director of Entrepreneurship Mindset Curriculum to all of you who wants to come. Please come and see our students' talent. And these are not our students, these are our students. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sapna ma'am. So now we have a very special guest among us. So we have Dr. Ajit Kalone. So he did his schooling from Colombo, an old boy of Ananda College, Tustan College, and Ananda Sastralaya. A cultural exchange student from Sri Lanka to USA in 1974 under the American Field Service Scholarship Program, and graduated from the Loveland High School in Colorado. He is a Bachelor of Science from the University of Colombo in Mathematics and Physics, Masters of Business Administration from Postgraduate Institute of Management of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Master of Art in Economics from University of Colombo, Doctor of Philosophy from International University of America for a fundamental research in mathematics. And if I talk about his career, then he started his career as an instructor in engineering mathematics at the University of Pasadena, a senior staff analyst at the IBM World Trade Corporation for 13 years, a licensed investment advisor in the stock market, and a promoter of financial products, a consultant to the National Saving Bank and to the Mercantile Bank, and a deputy director of the Directorate of Internal Intelligence, DII, which is formerly known as National Intelligence Bureau, and now it's known as a State Intelligence Service of the Ministry of Defense. And he the Trade Commissioner of Sri Lanka at the Australian High Commission, Director, Administration and Corporate Affairs of the Institute of Policy Studies. He has been he's chairman of the Vocational Training Authority and former chairman of the National Apprentice and Industrial Training Authority. Advisor to the Directorate of Internal Intelligence on Military Intelligence Analysis. And if I talk about his recent engagement, then he is a visiting lecturer in Management and Economics for the University of Colombo, University of Moratuava, University of Kelania, Imperial Institute of Higher Education, Institute of Information Technology, and Institute of Chartered Accountant. A lecturer in management for Sri Lanka Army, Navy, Air Force, Police, Prison Department, National Institute of Education, and Sri Lanka Institute of Development Administration. He is author of the books DNA for Relate and Frontier of Contemporary Management, and currently indulged in writing a contemporary management philosophy from a military perspective by covering 6 different subjects. So I would like to give a big round of applause for Dr. Ajit. Over to you, sir, please. Welcome.
A very good afternoon to all of you. It's a memorable day for me. Exactly 20 years ago, I walked into this institute as the chairman on the 26th February 2002. And I was here for 2.5 years. And this one place where I really got the exposure to work at policy level, think at policy level, and practice what I have learned in my management education. So today, when I was extended the invitation to come and speak to you, I thought, then I was specifically told that it comprises Indian educationists, and then I thought, I'll leave it from here, no, that's okay. I thought, okay, I'll do something, because I have been with the school sector for at least 15 years as an external resource person. Out of the 10,000 odd principals, I have taught at least 4,000 of them at the Education Leadership Development Center. Through them, I got invitations to educate the children. So since 2005 up to 2018, I was going around the country, all over the country, and educating school children on a lecture called Vision and Social Responsibility. I was able to keep the school children listening to me for 2.5 hours without the blink of an eye. I taught that lecture in English, and I completed Sinhala, and I completed 850 lectures and then stopped doing it, because now, of course, I am into, putting my knowledge into the knowledge I have into writing, and my first book is out. The second book is going to be this. This is create a new subject I have created to educate the military, very specifically tailor-made for the military, but anybody can learn from it. The military management concepts, but it has an Indian background. It's called the Tiger Hunt. It's based on a professional hunter's experience in the professional ethics and military, for the military officers, based on the experiences of a professional hunter. This professional hunter is very well known around India. There is Major Jim Corbett. How many of you have heard about Major Jim Corbett? All of you know that the Corbett National Park is named after him. And exactly 100 years ago, Jim Corbett was indulged in this, the extremely dangerous missions of gunning down man-eating leopards and tigers. And in fact, I have a vision. I'm sure this is the right audience to promote that vision. A date that I have earmarked in my life. I want to be in this specific place that's on the 2nd May 2026, if I live that long, and do this lecture. But I created out of this great gentleman, his experiences trying to teach the world to make discipline the military officers. I want to be in Rudraprayag and do this very same lecture to an Indian audience comprising military officers and educationists like you all. So please try to facilitate that. That's a dream I have. That's 2nd May, the 100th anniversary of Jim Corbett gunning down the one of the most dangerous and the famous man-eater of Rudraprayag. And, the thing is, the most of us, when we part knowledge to the others, what we do is parting existing knowledge to the others. It's very difficult to create and craft new subjects. So you will learn the art of, the crafting new subjects, totally unrelated concepts from one area and how to emulate that into another area in a manner that it makes sense and it delivers very powerful messages. So that's the ultimate objective of me doing this lecture. It's 3:30. Okay, I'll try to finish it. Very accidentally, I never wanted to be a teacher or a lecturer. I wanted to be a corporate head. So my mindset was revolving around the corporate sector, but very accidentally at a time that Sir John Kotalawala Defence University couldn't find a lecturer because 2 lecturers have undertaken this task and abandoned it and gone without notice. And there was a small advertisement which changed my life. Looking for a visiting lecturer in management to teach the undergraduates, I sent in an application. 2 days later, they called me and said, can you come and start teaching from tomorrow? I asked them, what am I to teach? They said, you teach anything you like. So that's how I became a lecturer. And then to see that, that they were in helpless situation. They work on deadlines. And to have undertaken this task and gone saying, find another lecturer. And they couldn't hold the exams without covering the syllabus. And they were running out of time. And in desperation, they put in this advertisement, and I'm the only one who has applied. So they had no choice, but I accidentally became a lecturer. It was a hectic task because the students were they have never studied a day in English. They were not Colombo schools students. They are all from rural areas. Sad to say it, while the war was going on, Colombo parents never sent their children to a military. They were all rural boys, second-year students of the advanced level who could make it to the university. So it was a major challenge to teach these concepts, what I learned in my postgraduate studies, in a manner that they can understand. Simplifying and teaching is another huge task that the educationists have. The concepts are heavy, but how do you deliver it to the audiences? So I used this case study method, and my teaching styles appealed, and I created new subjects, new concepts, new modules. And I never used models from textbooks, flow charts, things like that. Took the concept from a textbook and showed them how it can be used in real world. So you'll get the hang of that style of teaching with this lecture. In fact, Jim Corbett, going back to Jim Corbett, Corbett's books are all over in India. It's available, right? And his Corbett Museum is there. I have seen only the photographs. And so these man-eaters of Kumaon, then the temple tigers, and the man-eating leopard of Rudraprayag, these are all his hunting experiences of these man-eaters. Recently, I saw a documentary in the Animal Today. Sorry, not Animal Today, Animal Planet, right? And there's another dangerous man-eater which has evolved around the Corbett National Park. And they are using the drone technology, everything, but they were not able to kill it, exterminate it. Right? But the thing is, how did Corbett do it without any technology, with his skill of, using the weapon properly 100 years ago by confronting them face to face? So these are the marvels that people 100 years ago have done. What we used in drone technology, high-tech search equipment, radars, things like that, it's nothing compared with the bravery they had during that time to go in front of the animal and meet them in open areas. So I was a fanatic of Corbett's writing since my childhood. Even in the dreams, I used to see these places, all that. 30, 40 times I have read it in Sinhala, the translated versions. I have, in fact, the original books as well. And so this is the knowledge I created for the military cadets of the Sir John Kotlal Defense University out of Corbett's literature. And it went on so well, the academic board approved this as a separate subject to be taught to the military. And then what happened was, then I was just so popular that I was asked to give a compulsory question to the students in the exam, and they 100% answered it. Not a compulsory question, one question from that, then 100% of the students answered it. In fact, still when I meet now, they are all colonels and brigadiers, because I taught them 25 years ago. And they still say, we still remember, even the Corbett books are with us when we even go to the sea. Right? So, and I used to give a present of Corbett books to the batch tops. That's how sort of I encouraged them. So Major Jim Corbett, if you take his background, an officer of the British Army who lived in India in the early part of the 20th century, exactly 100 years ago. And a professional hunter who volunteered himself to destroy the man-eating leopards and tigers in the jungles of North India in the foothills of the Himalayan mountain range. Spent 4 years, 1925 to 1929, to gun down the famous leopard of Rudraprayag, which accounted for over 125 lives. And Corbett National Park in India was named after him. Okay, the very first concept I taught to them using Corbett literature, with generalized concepts, and then how Corbett saw it, then I always drew a relationship, because using Corbett's literature, I could militarize the general knowledge concept. So that's what I did, the strategy. Give them a concept. This is what Corbett says. So this is you can emulate that into a military situation. Vision. That's one of the 10 concepts I taught them before I took them through the management education. This is the lecture that I did, 2.5 hours, but I have to do it maybe in about 2.5 minutes, the essence of it. What is a vision? Let's try to understand. It's a dream to be realized in the future. But if you want to develop a comprehensive vision for yourself, right? A comprehensive vision for yourself, you have to study it in depth. You can't look at it on the surface. So as individuals, you must have a personal vision, right? And you should see your future in your mind. In 5 years' time, this is what I'm going to do from a career perspective. This is what I'm going to achieve in my career. 5 years' time, I'm going to be there. These are the educational attainments that I have to accomplish during that period, right? And then this is where I should be retiring. Up to the grave, you have to see your future, right? In fact, they say, one of the best ways of visualizing the future is see how your funeral is going to be held. Who is going to attend that, right? So that's another thing. But the thing is, personally, you must have pursue a vision. But if you assume a responsibility, say as a statesman or a head of a department or a head of an organization, you must add the professional dimension to that. The professional dimension, how do you do that? When I took over this responsibility, it was at this level. The day I'm going to leave, always when you assume a new responsibility, think of the day you're going to leave this organization. I'm going to elevate it up to here and go. What is my obligation to take it from here to here? That's the professional dimension of a vision, right? Personal. Then, to make it more comprehensive, you have to have a societal perspective. It's two-pronged. There are people who try to do good to the society in whatever possible manner, right? So when you see people trying to do that, you think as to how you can make an effective contribution to take that concept or that work forward, right? So that is one dimension. Then you see all adversities happening around us. Environmental degradation, right? The law and order is not it's not operational. Justice is not being perpetrated. All those things, adversities, you think as to how best I can do something to stop these things, right? Or to prevent it happening. So when you think on all those lines, you will develop a very comprehensive vision. This concept was exposed to me, I got exposed to this concept during a corporate training program in IBM when I was a young executive at IBM in the 1980s. They showed us a video of about 10 minutes duration, right? And the first episode was a young man clad in a tracksuit was running up and down on a beautiful beach stretch and early in the morning, and every 50, 20, 100 meters, he stops and picks up something from the seashore and throws it back to the sea. You don't see what clearly as to what he's throwing back to the sea. Then one day, in the second episode, it was shown that an elderly gentleman who comes for a walk, asked this young man, "Son, I have seen you practically every day, coming early in the morning, and while you are exercising and jogging and walking on the beach, every 100 yards you pick up something from the seabed and throw it back to the sea. What are you throwing back to the sea?" So this young gentleman says, "Sir, you may not know that there is a coral reef which is located underwater protecting this beach stretch. And the coral reef is being protected by thousands of starfish which are living on it. Throughout the night with the waves, these starfish get washed ashore, and as the sun comes up, they die on the shore." Right? What I do is, before the sun comes up, I come and pick them up and throw them back to the sea. Why? Because if we don't do that, the number of starfish which are out there would deplete, and the coral reef will be less protected, and as a consequence of that, the coral reef will erode, slowly start eroding. As a result of such, this beach stretch will be less protected, and if less protected, it will start disappearing into the sea. If this process continues unnoticed by anybody, in another 10 years' time, neither you nor me nor the future generations which are yet to be born here will have a place even to walk. I foresee this potential danger in my mind, potential threat in my mind, and the only thing what I can do to prevent that is come in the morning and pick up the starfish and throw them back to the sea. In the last episode, third episode, it was shown that the elderly gentleman also, after hearing this story, he picks them up, and whenever he walks also, if he sees a starfish dangling on the seabed, right, he picks it up and throws it back to the sea. In the last episode, it's shown, anyone seeing a starfish who is patronizing that beach stretch, whenever they see a starfish, they pick it up and throw it back to the sea. So the bottom line message we get is, right, vision can be transformed into a reality only if we couple it with action. So that is the message I was delivering to the cadets. And I emulated that, I showed how Jim Corbett sees it. I really shortened just took one concept out of that total 2.5 hours lecture to elaborate that what I did for the school children. The Jim Corbett was embarked on a mission. I think it was to gun down the most dangerous animal. He gunned down the tigress of Champavat. And it has accounted for over 625 lives, as I remember the statistics. And so it was the most dangerous. He made several attempts to gun that tigress down. And he failed, and he got so disgruntled and disappointed. So he was carrying his rifle on the shoulder. He was so disappointed that I made several attempts, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do it, and I must leave it for another person and to accomplish that task. And he was going back to where he came from. And while he was walking along a footpath in the jungle, Corbett saw an 8-year-old girl coming in the opposite direction, taking a cow to the waters. And Hobart thought that this girl may not be aware that this is the territory of a dangerous man-eating tigress. So he asked, aren't you aware of this man-eating tigress? Right? Yes, I know. It just ate my neighbor last week. Killed and ate my neighbor. But do you mean to say the little girl is asking Colbert that just because of its around that we shall stop all our work? I have a responsibility to take this, the cow to the waters and, make it drink and bathe it and bring back. So, and the girl walks off and Colbert feels ashamed of himself. This how he has put it into words. One may derive an enormous satisfaction by shooting a man-eating tiger. A reason is that it is something that must be done. Another reason could be that the challenge of defeating an equally strong opponent in its own territory. But this is a verbatim taken from the book actually. But the most important of all is allowing a brave small girl to walk freely about on this earth without fear. So I interpreted this as, to the military cadets, okay, after teaching the concept of vision, you have a responsibility. Colbert's vision is to make the younger generations walk freely about the homeland without fear. I saw how effective it was when I taught it when I met the chief editor of the military website while the war was going on, maintained by the Defense Ministry. He's one of my best students from intake 15. I taught intakes 12 to 16, 5 intakes. And he said, this concept was engraved in my mind, sir, that this is the first ever message I posted to our military website when the war began. To ensure that, it's our responsibility to make the future generations of this country walk freely about in their own land, homeland. So this is how I emulated and reiterated the concept in their minds. I taught them the concept. To reaffirm it in their mind, I gave this Colbert literature. And then I was teaching power and authority to them. Use the same concept. So the power and authority, what I'm doing is I'm giving you the general philosophy behind the concept, and then how I reaffirmed it in their mindset. What's power and authority? Take a police officer like this. Now he has asked that three-wheel driver to pull to the side, then wait and be examined. So the three-wheel guy has no, if we are driving a vehicle, if a police officer in uniform puts his hand out, definitely we will stop the vehicle, we will comply with it. In your country, in our country, it's the same, right? Because then, so the thing is, he is seeking voluntary compliance. So using authorities, when you hold a responsibility, you are vested upon with certain amount of authority to seek compliance from the others within the limitations, right? So so the authority is defined as right to request for voluntary compliance. In a police officer, we see authority in a uniform. But okay, now the three-wheel guy has complied, but the thing is, now he has a problem. Either he's drunk at this moment, or he doesn't have a proper valid driving license, or he's transporting contrabands. Now, if the police checks his vehicle, right, he's going to be in trouble. So he's looking around. There's nobody attentively looking at him. He's all of a sudden starting the three-wheel and trying to flee. And the police officer sees this. What's going to happen? Right? Immediately he'll pull the pistol out. Right? And if it is an emergency situation, he'll be he will definitely shoot at the vehicle, which is not complying with this request. So the thing is, power is the difference between power and authorities. Authorities seeking in compliance, but the others oblige voluntarily. When you use power, the reciprocation doesn't come voluntarily, right? So there is an element of intimidation involved in using power, Right? So always, the compliance is not voluntary. That's a fundamental difference. So in the police officer's uniform, his uniform reflects the authority. His weapon is reflecting power. So that's how I have been sort of gradually taking them through this power and authority lecture. This is another 3.5 hours lecture. I do it for the senior hierarchy of the police, up to the DIGs, and even to the prison authorities. Right? But just giving you the essence of what I have been teaching and how I reaffirm it. So the concepts, right, without examples, no case studies, right, but I'm giving you the concept. The scope of authority and power, it's like the traffic lights. There is a green limit. In the green limit, everybody stretches it. Everybody stretches the green limit. Right? Anyone working for an organization, the lowest employee to the highest employee, they stretch the limit. Right? But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with it. But you must not, yellow limit, amber limit is the misuse. You shall never get into misuse your power and authority. I supplement them with all examples. But the red limit, you and I can't go there. It's for the very authoritative politicians in a country. Nobody can go up to the red limit unless you are extremely powerful. So the thing is, okay, so when you take a decision, first and foremost, you must understand what the scope of your power and authority are, what the scopes of your power and authority are. Right? Otherwise, you will get into trouble. So I explained them with so many examples how to do that. And another concept I re-emphasize it, don't confront power without power. A soldier with a weapon, right, is much more powerful than a general, if the general doesn't have a weapon. And there are many situations in Sri Lanka, right? You know, the soldier listens and he clocks the weapon and in the general or whoever it is dead in another 2 minutes' time in his seat. Right? So never confront power. I teach them that, very strongly emphasize, because there are many, in the past situations, there are many people who have got shot officers, military, police, everywhere, in their respective seats by the junior-most people who were with the weapon at that time. Right? So do not confront power without actual possession of equal or more power. What happens to people who abuse power? I emphasize it. Right? We know some of these leaders. Right? Marcos of Philippines in the 1970s, one of the most, right, you know, a person who abused power to the core. Right? What happened? At one point, you know, the people stood up against them. And he ordered them to be shot. He had well-trained 1,000 people, military people. At his command, they opened fire. They said, sorry, sir, we can't open fire on these masses which are trying to break into the palace. They walked off. Americans went to rescue him, and they landed the helicopter on the helipad in the Malacanang Palace. And, you know, the Marcos got in, realized that he was not wearing slippers. Right? Then he said, you know, can I go back to the palace and fetch myself a pair of slippers and come? Americans said, if you get caught to the people, you won't come out alive, right? Let's go as it is. So ultimately, this very powerful person, right, left without a pair of slippers when his powers were collectively rejected by the people. So the power and authority can be exercised as long as the others collectively accept it. The day you are refused collectively, you have to run for your life. That's what happened to many people. The Tsar family, right? After the Russian Revolution, right? What happened to them? You know, it was a fatal destiny they had to face, right? A public execution. Not a public execution, a bold execution of everybody connected to the family. So this is what happened. This is how Saddam Hussein appeared to be when he was in power. But when he was caught and sentenced to death, that's how he looked like. Where's that pride in uniform? So it's a very temporary thing. People always wearing uniforms, people holding powerful positions, right? It's a very temporary thing they possess in that context, right? The day you are no longer there, right? Power, and if you have been misusing it or abusing it, you can face fatal destinies. Right? So I taught all these things, take a few hours with them, and then I comprehend that with Corbet's literature. Corbett was embarked on gunning down the leopard of Rudraprayag, and he was, sitting on a rock bed on the river bank with the best rifle in Garhwal in his hand, and he was talking with a packman, a man who is selling miscellaneous items, going from house to house, and the packman, I don't know whether it's still practiced in India, right? So the thing is, so he was having a long chat with this packman, and they see that on the other bank of the river, the whole village has got together and trying to gun down a wild boar for meat. And the wild boar is taking cover behind bushes, then the dogs go and sort of provoke it and bring it out, then they throw pellets at the wild boar, bring it out, and this tussle between the wild boar and the villagers is going on the other bank. Corbett and packman are watching on this while having a long talk. And at one point, the wild boar gets trapped on the river bank, and it's about to be shot by the man who is having a gun. And the wild boar looks around, jumps into the river, and swims across. Then the villagers go back, and it comes out on the other side, comes to the other side of the river bank, and just comes onto the bank. And there was a sand bed about 20 meters away from where Corbett was. Corbett and the packman were. It was so exhausted, it was panting and resting on it saw two people on this river bank also, didn't bother, and then rested and went into the jungle. So then the packman asked Corbett a question. The packman asked me whether the wild boar was within the range of my rifle. Yes, it was within the range, but I did not bring this rifle to Garhwal to shoot wild boars which are running for their lives, but to shoot the leopard after your lives, which you think is a ghost, and I know it's real, I responded. So then the message I delivered to the military officers is, use your authority and power, the weapon, uniform and the weapon, only for the purpose it's given. Don't misuse it or abuse it. And so this is how I condition their mindsets and instill these concepts and reinforce them with Corbett's literature. Anyone seeing this film? Schindler's List. This is it's one of the best films, 7 Academy Awards, 7 Oscars, I'm sorry. Right? This is about the World War II. This story also I used to cite. Right? World War II time film about the World War II. Oskar Schindler is a very powerful man in the Hitler's Politburo. He had authority over military officers also. And he lived in a town where there was a concentration camp that the Jews are sent frequently in train loads and being executed in gas chambers. So every time when a train load of Jews are being sent for execution, Corbett gives an order to the military officer in charge of the camp, give so many people to me, males and females, young people, because I want to use them to run my factories, start factories and run them. So then they make the allocation of human resources for Oskar Schindler and execute the rest. Then what happens is, when they do that, right, and Oskar Schindler uses them as laborers, didn't pay a salary, looked after their welfare only, and Oskar Schindler, then what happened was, becoming a multimillionaire in no time, because he doesn't have to pay for his labor. And this camp, the head of the camp, he has an issue. He drinks sometimes in the night, right? And and he's so ruthless. And after he's so drunk, he goes to the balcony and aims at the prisoner who is walking about to see whether he's still capable of killing a man, and even if he's intoxicated. Right? Sometimes it happens. Okay, so then what happened was, if somebody is presented in front of him, and he listens to that person and takes the pistol out and shoots him in the head. So Oskar Schindler sees this. He said, don't do that. When a helpless man is at your feet, at your mercy, don't kick him. Instead, give him a hand to stand up. Right? And after doing that, so don't ever shoot people randomly like that without a purpose. Right? And then the officer never shot anyone. And from the last load of the prisoners sent for execution, Oskar Schindler says, give me 100 people, 100 children under 12 years, right? Girls and boys. Because I'm going to start an artillery shell making factory. And I need children to put their hand in and polish the case of the artillery cylinder. Only children can put their hand in, polish the interior. Right? So then they send the children, and then he starts this artillery shell factory. Then the alliance took over Germany, defeated Hitler. Oskar Schindler becomes a prisoner with a brief inquiry. They decided to execute Oskar Schindler. They put them in front of a firing squad and kill him. But later what they realized is, what Oskar Schindler did was, if we could save only 100 people from that train, he saved those 100 lives and kept them alive. And to the extent that he has, rescued about over 3,000 prisoners. Right? That's the only way he could save them. That is why there's a monument to commemorate Oskar Schindler's contribution in Israel today, being a German. Right? So the thing is, bottom line is, the real meaning of using power is when someone is at your mercy and disposal and you don't use the power. Basically, if you are a really powerful person, you never use power to, manage the others. Don't use power, and when you have the option of using power. So these are the messages, powerful messages I instilled into the minds of the military officers. Ash effect. Ash effect, I'm not going to do the example what I have been doing, is basically distortion of our correct individual judgment by incorrect but unanimous opposition. This happens always in the parliament, right? The moment somebody comes up with a correct view, there are hundreds of people getting up and trying to suppress that. In teams, everywhere, this concept happens, right? But I think this is a concept which had not been given life, right? And it's concept insignificant thing in the organizational behavior subject. But I realized for the military, this is very important. But since I have a time constraint, I will stop or even I'll just briefly say. Once I went for this Adams Peak pilgrimage. I am a strong believer in God, Saman, and the Adams Peak. And then I was coming back through a shortcut, right? And it happened just to avoid about 40 kilometers. This path was shorter. Just before getting back onto the main road, this incident happened. Right? There was on a contour of a hill. Left side was the hillside, then the road, then the slope. And on the upside, right, there was a lorry which had been transporting bricks. The tires were deflated. Then the lorry driver has kept it to the extreme corner, and nobody can even move through, gone somewhere. A bus carrying pilgrims has trying to bypass the lorry. The brakes have failed right next to it. Now it's like a huge roadblock. And there is a bit of a grass patch, edge of the road. and then the slope begins. And a motorcyclist going uphill tried to go to the grass patch and got stuck in the grass patch. Now there are 3 vehicles parallel to each other, and then the villagers came and lifted it, took the motorcycle out. I came from downside. Now then you don't know when this is going to be cleared. If you are to avoid this, you have to take a detour of at least 60 kilometers after having a sleepless night. It's not viable. So we have been waiting. And then my mind was telling me that, this width of the grass patch is about 3 inches more than the width of my car. So I told my brother-in-law who was in the vehicle, it appears to be that we can go through this grass patch. And then, then a man who was coordinating that matter said, "Sir, you saw what happened. A motorcyclist tried to go through, and he couldn't go through, and you are trying to take a car through the same gap. Don't get the car toppled, we are not going to help you to tow it." I gave up. Right? But my correct, and all the others came and said, "Sir, just wait maybe another 1 or 2 hours, this will be over." One of the vehicles being taken out. But my mind still tells me that you can go through it. So what I made sure is, I went to a nearby house and borrowed a mammoth, cleared this grass stretch to understand why the motorcyclists couldn't go through. And to see that there was a rainwater ditch right in the center, about 1.5 feet deep, and it's in the center, but the 4 wheels of the vehicle are on the sides of this ditch. And I cleared it, made sure that I visualized it from the front, brought the car close up to this place, and I decided I'm going. Then, an inch at a time, being guided by my mother-in-law, I crept through the gap. In the first instance, I gave up. Why? I was not 100% sure. But in the second instance, I decided, what I did is that small percentage of risk, by understanding what was happening, right, what happened, I took the decision to go through it. Right? So if you are what I tell the military officers is, if you are 99% sure, respect the collective opinion. But if you are 100% sure, disregard it and go ahead. Right? So this is what we call the ash effect. Your distortion of your correct judgment by individual, but collective, but unanimous opposition. It's very clearly reflected in covert literature. Ash effect. Covert one day got the information that he was residing in the wildlife bungalow. He got the information that a leopard is trying to break into a house. Somebody came running into him in the middle of the night and told. He rushed to the scene to see that the leopard is trying to bring down the door of a house to catch the man who is sleeping inside. He takes a shot at it, but he wasn't sure whether, then the torch also got switched off. He wasn't sure whether it got shot. The next day he went up to the scene to see that there is a blood path leading to the mountains, 1 inch thick. So he knows that the leopard is definitely shot. With this kind of bleeding, it can't go for more than a mile or 2. And he traces and they find the carcass of the animal up in the hills. So now the villagers are very happy because this leopard which was terrorizing them for the past so many years, now it is dead. So they are bringing it down in a procession, tied down to a pole, and bringing it down in a procession, right, to celebrate. But Colbert has a doubt. I am the only one in that procession because he had an experience. Very vaguely he saw the animal. One night he couldn't shoot it, but he made an assessment that's an old, it's in the latter stage of its life, old leopard, weak old leopard. But the thing is, this one is a very young one. But the thing is, leopards occupy normally a 500 square mile territory, and they don't allow any other leopard to come and operate there. But the thing is, this may be another leopard which is trying to kill a man, but without knowing the presence of the old leopard. So he has a doubt because this one is a young leopard. Anyway, right, I am the only one in that procession who believed that the leopard of Rudraprayag is not dead. As I insisted, two things were allowed: to advise the people not to relax their security and measures, and not to inform the government by telegram that the leopard of Rudraprayag is killed. Only 2 days later, he gets a message saying that the actual one has come and taken a man away. Right? So the thing is, sometimes, the ash effect applies everywhere. But the thing is, it's not given the due prominence. When I discussed this with the master students, the higher level officers, then they were sharing their experiences. It's the other way what happens in military debacles. Right? Everybody is of the correct view, but the most authoritative person is of the different view. And he takes the decision to go ahead. So then I called it as a concept. So the ash effect is, do not allow your correct judgment to be suppressed with unanimous but incorrect opposition. Then what I did is, right, I created a new definition: inverted ash effect. It's the other way. And it's based on my interaction with the high-ranking military students, battlefield veterans. Now, the irrationality of decision and analysis and action of authoritative decision makers when they possess a competing and a contrasting view of the correct and collective opinion of the subordinates. Right? Now, I can cite one of the debacles, what happened. Right? It was for a military advancement, and it is to attack a camp in an open area, and the astrologer gave him a time 7 in the morning. He's a strong believer of astrology. And it ended up in a debacle because the enemy can see you are advancing very clearly. Another thing, everybody knew that the decision taken by the most authoritative person is wrong, but they have to go carry out the order. So this particular officer got back into the armor car, opened the lid, and took the helmet out and said, "Have a look at these faces. These are not going to come back." He never came back. Because they knew, the junior levels knew that the decision is wrong, that they are not going to come back on this mission, after this mission. Right? So the authoritative people sometimes, they make such stupid mistakes. Right? It's in Corbett's literature. Right? One day, people are in a mass, about 200 people are going into the jungle, and the leopard by mistake comes in the opposite direction on a footpath. And all of a sudden, they meet each other on a bend. And the people started chasing the leopard, and the leopard was running for its life. And it enters a cave. And it enters a cave when people immediately block the mouth of the cave. They knew that it has no other exit. So they blocked the mouth of the cave, and then, then brought this, the thorns, and, well secured and sealed it. Now, this is a typical situation in countries like ours. Next day, right, about 500 people are coming and staring at that cave from morning till evening. Right? For no, and so the thing is, this is how Corbett puts it in writing. On the 5th day, for 5 days, people are coming and watching the cave from morning till evening. Right? When some 500 were assembled, a man whose name is not given, but whom the report described as a man of influence, authoritative person, came and, to quote the report, said scornfully, "There is no leopard in this cave," and took the thorns up of the cave. As he took the thorns up, the leopard suddenly rushed out of the cave and made his way safely through a crowd of some 500 persons who had gathered there. Right. So what Corbett says is, had it been trapped there, sealed forever, in another few days it would have died of the starvation and the problem would have been over. But it's just some people, for their own, to show their authority, they do this kind of things against the public opinion. Right? So this is typical political behavior in many of the countries. So the thing is, inverted ash effect is, do not use this authentic definition created by me. Do not use your power and authority to overrule the common and collective opinion of the majority unless you are absolutely sure of what you are doing. You have to be 100% sure once again to carry out that decision by overruling the others' collective opinion. In the first instance, it was a matter of me making the decision to go through, but I didn't have to overrule anybody. But here, what happens in military situations, they overrule the others with their wrong perception. A classic example, during the Iraqi war, I think, a sergeant of the special forces was asked to carry out a mission and he said, go to hell. He was court-martialed later, dishonorably discharged, but he said, this is a stupid decision my superiors have made. So this happens, when the insubordination takes place, right, when the decision maker's credibility is not established in the minds of the subordinates. He has made so many blunders in the past, and this time also, we see this in the politics very often, right? This time also, he is making another blunder, and I'm not going to take part and get myself killed. That was the stance of the special forces sergeant who is well trained to, and he said it's basically a dishonorable discharge he has to pay the price with. Then when it comes to intelligence, right, I think I should be able to manage the lecture within the time allocation. I created the original definition out of Jim Corbett's literature for intelligence. If you take the information assessment process, at the bottom, it's triangular shape. At the bottom, you get data. When, the emerging trends can be identified by processing data. Right? So then it qualifies as information. Data, when you immerse it, and then information can be generated. Once information is properly analyzed, you can derive intelligence out of it. In intelligence literature, only these three components are there, but in new knowledge management literature, there's a subject which has evolved in the 21st century called new knowledge management. There is another triangle on top that's called wisdom. So basically, this is how the information is structured in a hierarchical order. And most of this information, only a fraction of, even in the possession of an intelligence office, only a fraction of is secret, right, of nature, and others what we call overt information. All background information is kept in proper files in case you need it to use in the future. And out of this secret component also, some have a time validation, right? Now suppose that if there's an election, very serious election, intelligence people may, right, look into what the action of all the activists of the opposition. And the election comes and the opposition comes to power, what's the point in it, that information gets null and void, and which will be of no use to in the future from that day. Right? So the thing is, wisdom, you can keep making use of it over and over and over again. Right? So this is how we work in intelligence. So processed data qualifies as information. When information is analyzed and collated, put together, intelligence can be generated. However, wisdom refers to the knowledge generated from intelligence and to recorded prerogative information which can be used for our advantage and security. In other words, wisdom in military intelligence is an authentic, original definition. What shall be spoken and what shall be kept top secret is the knowledge of enemies' inherent weaknesses, repeated shortcomings, enigma. Enigma is the way they code their messages, patterns of conduct, and etc. that we are aware and the enemy is unaware of the fact that we are aware. We know it, these are his weaknesses, but we can make use of it as long as he doesn't know that we know it. So then I was asked to extend this to cover the journalists. Facts, information, etc., based on which the enemy can either act or correct himself. Right? Journalists shall never speak about it. I can cite one or two examples from our military situations. Okay. Let's take a very world-renowned example. American intelligence cracked the enigma of the Japanese military communications. Right? The American analysts were able to thereafter read word to word meaning into what they are up to. And they basically, there's a film called, I think, it's A Beautiful Mind. Imitation Game, not Beautiful Mind, Imitation Game. It's about that, how they crack the enigma. Yes, you're right, sir. Imitation Game, not Beautiful Mind is about Nash. John Nash, yes. Sorry. And it's basically, they, after having known that, but they never acted on it because the moment they act on that information, right, sometimes, what happens is, what would have happened is, that's why they sometimes allow certain things to happen. The enemy will take precautions because they will get to know that these people are reading our codes. So what happened was, this is a famous example, they cracked the enigma and got the Japanese High Command order to attack the Pearl Harbor on such and such a day. And such, specifically at this time you carry out the attack, aerial attack on the Pearl Harbor. And they kept the president informed, President Roosevelt at that time. And President Roosevelt didn't act. And, but he didn't tell them as to how they got to know it. But President Roosevelt was ignorant, and that's the worst debacles Americans have suffered before the September 11th in the history, American history. But later there was an election, and there was a contender to him in the election, and he had intelligence connections. Then what happened was, these disgruntled intelligence officers went and reported it to the opposition candidate, right? Dewey, that was the name of the gentleman. And Dewey wanted to take it up in the election platform against President Roosevelt because of this man's ignorance that, this attack took place. And then what happened was, intelligence got to know. So General Marshall, who was the head of CIA at that time, walked up to Dewey and said, "Sir, we know that you are aware of what happened. President didn't take action, but don't take it up in the election campaign. The moment you do that, Japanese will get to know that we are reading the enigma. So be responsible." And as a result, Dewey didn't take it up against Roosevelt, and Roosevelt became the president again in that election also. So that's the national responsibility of people. Now, I have my credibility. I earned my credibility in intelligence with a landmark research. Before that, right? In Cobert's literature, it's very clearly says, okay, I want to tease your brains now. Okay, these are two pictures in the terrain, right? The leopard is going for a prey, right? It has to either go behind the prey and catch it, or it has to wait until it comes close enough to jump onto it and catch it. How does the leopard decide, by looking at this picture very carefully, whether to go behind and catch or whether to wait until it comes to its reach? Just examine it very carefully. Why? Why, madam? You have to just rationalize it.
It's difficult for the deer to turn and then jump.
Okay. Not a valid rational reason. Okay. You will examine it very carefully. No. It always uses it as a rule. No. All what it takes into account is to take the decision is the wind direction. That's how it decides. It knows that animals all in the jungle can, the sort of feel its presence. Right? So the thing is, it attacks in a manner that if the animal is walking against the wind, it goes from behind and catches it. And if it's walking along the wind direction, it is waiting until it comes to its reach. Right? So the thing is, this is how Colbert put it in writing. Right? The tigers are unaware of the fact that the human beings cannot sniff. So they resort to the same technique to catch the human beings. If the human being is, so the thing is, so it decides on that. So if you are walking, so Colbert says this, I didn't have the entire verbatim being scanned, but Colbert says, right, the Colbert says, so the thing is, if you are a hunter, professional hunter, you should know how to make use of this tiger's weakness. Right? So if you are walking along the wind direction, right, against the wind direction, you have to understand that the attack comes from behind. If you are walking along the wind direction, in the same direction, attack, it is waiting somewhere to jump onto you. So if he says, if you can't make use of that wisdom, right, it's like you are walking into your death trap. So this is how I conceptualize that original definition out of Colbert literature. And so the thing is, also another weakness was observed in the tigers. And it always never makes eye contact. The professional hunters know. Even if you meet if you see a man-eater, right, it always, if you see it face to face, it flees. It always makes a surprise attack. That's why Indian government to the forest officers who had essential requirements to go into the jungle, they gave a mask to be worn on the backside of their head. Right? So that if the tiger comes from behind, the moment he sees this mask, it turns back and goes. It avoids face-to-face confrontation. So these are the things. But if you take, what happens is with this, while the wars are going on, there are so many people who organize seminars. And, then what happened was, on these subjects, and they divulge wisdom. Now, if you get all these tigers and leopards into a seminar and tell them, look here, you all are fools. Human beings cannot sniff. After that, you can never make use of that wisdom. Right? But it has happened several times. Right now, I can cite one example. There was a journalist who gets all the inside information. Even the verbatims of intelligence reports he used to quote. And now the LTT captured 2 artillery guns from us in a debacle. And it was firing from, 22 kilometers away at the airport tower in Palali. And suppose, right? And it drops 200 meters short of it, the tower. In the next day, the journalists say there was a massive artillery attack, right? And it just fell 200 meters south of the Palali tower. Next day, all what the LTT doesn't know is where it fell. They clear the direction, and the next day's one will be right on the target. So unnecessarily, I don't have the time to cite all these examples, people have been divulging this wisdom, and then after that you can never make. I can cite one example I pick. So do not educate the enemy. Focus attention on weaknesses and repeated shortcomings of the enemy over his strengths. Always, if you want to confront a strong opponent, you identify the weaknesses more than his strengths and capitalize on them for offensive action. During the peace period, these are the damages what the journalists and military officers collectively do. The government asked the Navy to take the team of journalists from Trincomalee along the war-affected coasts to Jaffna, along the eastern coast upward. And while they were moving, the Navy officer showed chalet is identified from the sea, always from that large tree which towers above the others and clearly visible from the deep sea. And the journalist took a photograph and put it in the papers. Now what have the LTT got to do? You cut the tree or trim the tree, you can make it difficult for the Navy to identify chalet from the deep sea. What's the benefit you get out of it? That's the other issue. You don't get, there was another debacle called Kattaparichan debacle, commando debacle, right? And LTT deceived the commandos and got them onto their side, then opened fire and ambushed them. Next day, right, in the newspapers said, right, this many people took part in the operation and this many have come back. LTT counted the number of dead bodies, 7 are missing, cordoned and searched and executed them. By that time, 4 have escaped in a boat and they surfaced, but the other 3 were cordoned and searched and executed. So what's the mileage you get by publishing such sensitive information? They don't realize. That's why military specifically asked me, when I was teaching the postgraduate students, to extend that definition to cover the military. So this is a military definition. Then I created and my precedence in the intelligence community, I am the one who read Prabhaharan's mind. Once I identified that weakness through a rigorous research, I could predict all his VIP targets. So it was kept a top secret, and still it's kept away from the journalists. Now it's 4:30, exactly 1 hour. Can I have I was given 75 minutes. Is it okay if I go on for another 15 minutes? Or you want to stop now? I'm getting into a further extended subject, what I created for the military. Can I go ahead with for another 15, 20 minutes? I can stop at this. Ten more minutes, okay, fine. I'll try to rush through it. I introduced, then as the war was going on, I was doing further research into covert literature and created a new subject called death management. Managing death situations. This is a fairly short thing. And then this was patronized by the special forces, commandos, and the special task force. It was meant for them, the the solid fighters. They are the people who confront death situations. What is death? I defined it for them. Death is the last experience in life. Okay, there are so many ways people face the death. Right? Accidents, suicide, homicide, natural and cause of death is undetermined. So these for managing death-defying situations which may involve the risk of loss of life. When you teach serious subjects like this, you have to have serious slides like this as well to get the maximum visual effect. It's once again based on purely Jim Corbett's writings. Jim Corbett goes with his servants, 10 servants, to the jungle, to stay in the jungle for 10 days. And then, in order to take a shot at the tiger if possible. So they secure open area and with thorns and everything. And Corbett sleeps inside the tent. His cook sleeps outside. And as they went to sleep, there was a guava tree which is extending from outside at an angle over the tent, the camp area. And then what happens was, he sees the potential threat. Though we have secured the periphery, definitely the leopard can climb the tree and jump into the camp. Then he orders to cut it. Then what happens is, while the tree is cut halfway, he changes his mind. We are going to here for 10 days, but we are going to be in burning hot sun if we cut this tree. So he decides not to cut it. But later when he went to sleep, he realized there is a danger, that it's too late to cut the tree and remove it, therefore we'll do it next day. And the very same night, this is what happened. It was a brilliant moonlight night. I was suddenly awakened when I heard the noise of the leopard climbing the tree. So this is what we call the Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong. Right? This is Murphy's apocryphal character, imaginary character. But if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. So don't trade off, right, safety and security for comfort and convenience. This is what happens to most. It happens in the military fields all the time. They trade off the safety and security for comfort and convenience. And then I defined an extension to the Murphy's Law based on the tsunamis, right? If something has gone wrong, everything will go wrong. I'm sorry, I don't have the time to cite the supplementary examples. I have at least the 10 case studies to supplement this. Then another thing, right, from Corbet's literature, death-defying situations. It was operating on this pilgrim route to Kedaranath and Badrinath. Right? And there are, the shops selling things to the pilgrims as well as resting places, safely resting places to the pilgrim. A team of pilgrims, 10 women and 10 men, come to a shop. They are exhausted and they are seeking accommodation inside the shop. And the shopkeeper says, it's like sleeping with death. But today in the morning when I got up, I saw the paw impressions of the leopard walking in front of the district. So it's despite the fact that you are very tired, go 2 more miles and go to that safe place where you can sleep the night. But they are arguing, no, we'll somehow, and they can't be convinced. While that was happening, a priest who was going all by himself arrives at the scene. He doesn't know what's happening, and he took the side of the pilgrims and supported him and gave them the leadership also, the foolhardy leadership, right? To the extent that while the negotiation was going on, a priest arrived at the scene and took the side of the pilgrims. He told the shopkeeper, if the women are allowed to sleep inside the boutique, that he will sleep with the men on the aisle, and if any leopard is courageous enough to attack them, that he will catch it from the head and split its jaws. Right? This is what you call giving foolhardy leadership to situations, to inspire the people without knowing the reality. And what happened in the morning? When the pilgrims woke up in the morning, the priest had disappeared. And his blanket was soaked with blood and a part of it was lying outside the crowd. Right? So never give, I tell them, do not underestimate the enemy's capability and overestimate yours. If you do that, you will put others' lives also in jeopardy. Also, do not confront the enemy in his territory without a proper understanding of his capabilities. This is a very fine example. One of the powerful messages I used to deliver to the special forces. Corbett and Ibbotson. Ibbotson is the government agent who's his hunting partner, trusted hunting partner. Ibbotson and Corbett, they knew that the leopard is hovering around looking for a prey. They couldn't catch a human being. It will settle for at least a goat. So they take a goat, which is making noises very loudly, right, screaming very loudly, and their strategy is give the goat as a bait. They go late in the night and stay near the carcass of the goat and kill it. So they tie the goat and they move forward with a cigarette being lit, and all of a sudden the goat started screaming, right? And they turned back. This is what has happened. There was blood oozing out of the goat's throat. Now, few minutes ago, 2-3 minutes ago, they tied up the goat. Throat, and when I touched it, the muscles were twitching. No other leopard would have killed the goat other than the man-eater. It appears that we have been challenged to see which one of the two of us would survive to make it to the village, as it was getting dark and village was quite far. Now, this is what we call as decision escalation in management. You expect a certain outcome to take place and take a decision. Within no time, it has got reversed. Now, what are you going to do at a time like this? You have to take a situation appraisal, we call it in military language. You take each fact and see whether it is in favor of the opponent or in favor of you. Okay, now the thing is, if you take the lighting conditions, leopards visibility is increasing, your visibility is going down. Who is at an advantage? The leopard. Then, the leopard knows where it is. It's watching every move. You can't see where the leopard is. Who is at an advantage? Leopard. Right? Also, what's the choice of meat preference? There are 2 human beings and a dead goat. This is a man-eater. It's used to human flesh. Right? So the thing is, that is also you are at a disadvantage. So what's the best thing to do? What's the best decision to do at a time like that? Run for your life. You don't call it running. In military, we use a very special term called strategic withdrawal. You don't run, right? Okay. You make a strategic withdrawal, okay? And when the ground situation continues to change in the favor of the enemy, strategic withdrawal is one of the best possible courses of action. Okay, in a strategic withdrawal, normally, you destroy all your infrastructure, right, before you leave the camp. That's another thing they practice. Then they, decide to withdraw. Now they come running back to the village. They have to run 1 mile. And they know that the leopard is following them very closely because it is there in the scene. And they come to the first house and knock on the door. Nobody's opening. Right? And then Corbett does this. As we did not get a response from the house, we took the box of matches, shook it, and threatened to set fire to the thatch roof. A voice pleaded not to do so. The door opened in a minute, and we rushed into the house, closed the door, and leaned against it. We saw paw impressions left behind by the leopard while it was following us up to the village in the morning. So in a contingency of this nature, this is where you have to use your power, minimum power, right, to seek only compliance. Right? But if you set fire to the house, then you can't take that shelter inside. Now, this is a classic example I can cite. Defense Minister of Sri Lanka and then Inspector General of Police and the Commander of the Army were traveling in the same helicopter long years ago. And for an issue they had with the helicopter, they landed in the enemy territory. Defense Minister, Army Commander, and the police. It's given on a platter, but close to the border. Then what happened? Right? They went to the closest house, same situation happened. Right? Can you show us the way to the border? They panicked. Sorry, sir, we can't do it. Took the pistol and kept it on the head. Now show it. He had no choice, but he had a little infant, and they did a clever thing. And the wife of the man, they took them also with him up to the border. But otherwise, the LTT comes, the wife would have shown the direction they went in. Right? So these are death-defying situations. You can use intimidation to the minimum degree to seek compliance. 2 more examples, then I can wind up. This is a situation Corbett is inspired by. Right? He is inspired by this experience of somebody else. Corbett goes into, this is a Bredwood. Smitten is a civil servant, and a Bredwood, British civil servant, is a forest officer going for a duty. Then what happened was, they are going in a horse carriage, and a rogue elephant tramples it and kills them. Kills the driver and the 2 horses. Now it's about to attack the 2 gentlemen who came in the carriage. Bredwood had a rifle until he took it out of the case and loaded it. Smitten got onto the coach and removed the oil lamp, which was still intact. He kept the lamp on his head, walked up to the rogue elephant, and made the glimmer of the light fall on the elephant's forehead for Bretton to take the decision to shoot it. A perilous situation, there's nobody to give orders. Each one must quickly identify the most appropriate role to be played and get into action immediately. These are the messages that I have been powerful delivering. One more example, so the last example from Coberts, what I delivered to the special forces. He is embarked with this, I'll be concluding. He is embarked on this mission of gunning down the Champavat tigress, 624, one of the most dangerous. He goes into the jungle. There was a small bird's cage with 4 eggs. So he takes this nest, bird's not a cage, nest, the nest into his hand, having the rifle like this, just for the curiosity, turns instincts. He turned back to see that the leopard is on its final stance to jump onto it. Right? And jump onto it. And in a death-defying situation, how should you act? Right? Now he has 2 choices. Drop this, the tigress is 8 feet behind. If he's dropping it and turning and shooting, he has to, the leopard will get excited, it will jump over him. So he has to act in a manner that he doesn't excite the opponent. And this is how he puts it in. 2 ideas came to my mind, that I must act first, and whatever that action is, it must be taken in a manner that the tigress will not get excited. The second thing is, he decides to, while making the eye contacts, just keep it, one more, this is the last slide. Okay. And I concentrated on maintaining eye contacts with the tigress and did not pay any attention as to how the rifle was turning. I felt that my arm was weakening and I may not be able to turn the rifle to the correct position. However it happened, as the barrel of the rifle came in line with the body of the tigress, I pulled the trigger. So this is the message I was to deliver. Do not panic in a perilous situation. Also, you must act first without exciting the opponent. So it's basically the crux without any examples. I have been emulating from this hunter's experience, created this new subject to teach the military officers to face rigorous situations they encounter with the enemy. And normal people, but most inevitable thing is they panic in situations like this. Right? Also the mission, right? I used to deliver to them, but I will not, since the time constraint is there. Mission is the purpose of you wearing this uniform. Right? Special forces have a separate mission, what we call a creed statement. Right? It's a very well-defined mission statement, the purpose of life, purpose of you wearing this uniform. It's called a creed statement. So not many organizations have creed statements. Why is it required? If you get isolated, right, to reinstate your inspiration and the morale back to fight alone even if you have to. So that is why a creed statement is required. But Cobert's mission, he has very clearly defined it. There have been occasions when life has hung by a thread, and others when a light burst, disease resulting from exposure and strain have made the going difficult. But for all these occasions, I am amply rewarded if my hunting has resulted in saving one human life. My objective was the same. By educating the military officers, it's not to kill, but at least to save one life. I am sure I have accomplished it. Thank you very much. 1 hour and 15 minutes, 75 minutes. Thanks. I don't know how effective or how valuable this is to you, but my objective was to, to create new concepts and instill it into the people. How you can do it by carefully thinking through, what you hear, what you read, all that, creating new subjects, and you can sometimes deliver very powerful messages using those things. Hope that I can make it to Rudraprayag, right, on the 2nd May 2026.
Let's give him a big round of applause. Such a nice experience, sir. You've got such a vast experience. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Can we have the memento for sir, please? Please put your hands together one more time. Thank you. So I would like to thank everyone who came here, and very big thank to everyone who really helped us for making this event happen. And so Kamal Goda sir, can you please come this side? So he's Mr. Kamal Goda, the president of SAI. He has been the biggest pillar behind this event. Without him, it was never gonna be possible. So a very, very big thanks, sir. And you can see, so he has been running here and there. He is tired now. He could not sleep yesterday at all, but he was still there. He made sure that everything works and functions nicely. So thank you very much. And thank you, Ajit sir, for being here. And thank you all the Indian participants for such a nice presentations and being available for us. Thank you very much. So would you like to say something?
Yeah. Actually, I want to thanks to Mr. Naveen and Mr. Sakir. They did a lot of things to make the success this event. I think as Sri Lankans, we did our full support to them. And I thought to get relaxed today after organizing a huge function. And I think today all of you got some experience with our Sri Lankans. And today evening also we will meet and then we can chat. Therefore I thought to be silent today. Then thank you very much all of you. I think as an academic, we can do something to change our world, to make the good place to our next generation. And as a Sri Lankan, as an Indian, I think as a South Asian region academic, I think we can do a lot of things together to make success of our next generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you to both of you all and to sir for making this possible. Right from morning, we had such a wonderful day. I will say a plethora of experiences and learning that we got over here. It was really very wonderful. Right till now, this was something very different, you know. I found it a bit lengthy, but definitely very, very interesting, where I think that we as teachers also can connect our subjects with so much of philosophy and values through lessons. So that was a good learning for us. Thank you, sir, for that wonderful insight which you gave us. And to all the participants, we all are here to make our schools more better. On that note, let us end on a very humorous note. Once an inspector came to the school, and you know when inspectors come, the school masters and the teachers, all of them are on their toes, you know. And this inspector was known for being quite strict. So everyone was worried. And then the inspector came to the class and asked, yes, so how do you find coming to school, children? And the children said, yeah, we love coming to school. And you should have seen the pride on the face of the teacher, you know. My class children are so good, they love coming to school. And then, how do you like going home? Oh, we love going home also. Oh, then is there anything that you don't like? Oh, we don't like whatever happens in between these two, you know. So, but yeah, you didn't make us feel that. Everything that was happening was so very interesting. You didn't make us feel that. And on that note, I request everyone to stretch out your right hand and pat your own backs. Yeah, thank you very much. That applies to you also. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I could read between the lines.
Well, we have almost come to the end of today's program. Before ending the program, may I call upon Mr. Shakil Ahmed and Mr. Naveen Sharma on stage to deliver the certificates for the participants. Ms. Niranjala Kumari Alahakon, Ms. A.N.K. Senviratna, Mr. Ajit Devakurage, absent, I suppose. Miss Amanda Pires. Miss Amanda Pires, absent. Miss Anusha Indunil Kapuachige. Miss Anusha Bhagya Kumari.
Miss Tania Pereira. Miss Tania Pereira.
Miss G.A. De Silva. Miss Shehani Madurangi. Miss Chaturika Kanti Balasurya. Miss Ishakya Umeshani Dodamgoda. Miss Chaturi Sevwandi. Miss Chaturi Sevwandi. Miss Kavindi Yashodhya Prabhashwari. Miss H.M.R. Jayavikrama. Miss M.H.F. Shaima. Miss P. Sarangi Apsara. Miss Anne Sachini Imasha Mendes. Miss Fatima Sanfa Muhammad Aflal. Mohammed Munafir Sara. Shakira Muftias. Miran Munir. Miss K.H. Shriani. Tharuni Rashmika Dikkumburagi. Miss Teja Malkanti. Miss W. Indrani. Miss Chandrani Gunasinghe. Miss Priyanka Tushari Vikramasinghe. Miss Subha Jayavikrama. Miss Vinita Vasumati.
So we will try to arrange the photographs as soon as possible. So we will get the confirmation from them. In case you have clicked photographs from your phone and you post it, do not forget to tag us. So the company name is Mingle Education on Instagram as well as on Facebook. And our YouTube channel is also there if you want to watch old videos of our conferences. That is also Mingle Education. And Naveen Sharma and Shakil Ahmed, so you want to tag us, so you can tag us as well. And we will share that post on our official pages. Thank you very much.